Hi, I'm Captain Larry Bell with Texas Fishing Tips. This is your weekly fishing report.
All the way up here in Mustang Lake. All this area up here is starting to come into play now that we've had a few cold fronts come through. Our water temp has dropped a little bit. Our water levels are starting to fluctuate up and down. You're getting into some higher tides, lower tides, starting to get a little bit of wintertime tides starting to kind of trickle in here on us. So that's one of the key things that you really need to take a look at before you start your fishing day, the day before if possible, or that morning of whatever day that you're going to go. Make sure you pay attention to those tides, because if you get into an area and you're not really familiar with it, thinking everything's going to be okay, then you could put yourself in a little bit of either some mud or some shell or something to that effect. That's one of the things that takes place up here in Mustang. There's all the above. You've got some deeper edges to it, and those are things that you'll just have to locate. But your shell, your pots, your potholes, the guts that are in this thing, get out of this area up here and get out and wade it, and you can find it and locate it with your feet. Some really good wading areas. But that being said, there's been some nice redfish that have been being caught up here on the over the shell, over the little back lakes that are in this area back here, working all the way down back to the mouth, working the riprap that's out there by the ICW. That's another area that you really need to concentrate on. There's been a decent amount of bait. Of course, that's one of the things that's going to become more scarce as well as we have more cold fronts starting to push through. That bait will start to migrate out of here, and whatever mullet is left in the system will be few and far between. So the really artificial game becomes really huge this time of the year moving forward. Those fish will be looking for stuff to eat because they'll be hungry. Won't be as much bait in the area. But that said, again, these are areas up in here. When you come outside of Mustang, work down the shoreline. If you're able to here, just pay attention to your barge traffic. Make sure your boat's nice and secure, because this is one of those areas, if you don't have a good power pole or a secondary anchor that you can put in play here to help hold that thing in place, you will end up having to chase it or call somebody to come pick you up, and you don't want to do that. So make sure that you're taking care of that. This outer edge out here has been good, especially when if the water starts to drop out. These fish will drop off in that deeper edge there. You can work up and down. There's been some nice trout being caught. Again, the redfish on the inside, trout have been fishing on the outside of those. Down south lures have been working the best in both the regular and burner shad. In the white ice, purple rain has been pretty good. Another thing has been the chicken of the sea in those flavors and in those sizes as well. Topwater bait hasn't been bad either. You can work that up there in the lake and see if you can locate with that and getting some blow ups and some redfish takes on that. It's been a lot of fun. Down here on Cedar Flat, out on Cedar Bayou, all the way on the other side as well. That Cedar Flat on the south side of it, the back shoreline as well. All this area here, up and down this back shoreline here, there's a nice little shell bar there. There's been some nice redfish that have cruised up and down this area. The trout are starting to get really thick. You'll find some nice box trout up and down this area here. There's been plenty of bait working all up down here. Cedar Bayou is open. It is flowing. They're still doing a little bit of work up that way, so just be conscious of that. If you decide that you want to run up there and try to fish the surf, you'll have to contend with some of the workers and stuff that are still doing some stuff up there. But anyway, all this area here on the back shoreline, there's been redfish there. There has been nice trout that have been caught out in that area there. The corky game, if you are a corky thrower, if you like to throw corkies, double D's, soft dines, all these are starting to come into play now. You find that little deeper edge, find that deeper water, work those things. Get in that waist deep water and work your corkies in that, work your soft dines in that. Those have all been really good. In the down south lures, the marker 54 jerk shrimp, all these have come into play down in this area here. It's been really good. It's been very productive in both catching redfish and trout up and down this grass line. Be patient with it. Pay attention to what your winds are doing. Again, your tides are extremely important this time of year, because some of this area up here gets really skinny really fast when that water starts dropping out. So if you're not paying attention to that, you're going to put yourself in a little bit of trouble. So pay attention to what your tides are doing. Make sure that you're incorporating a major and a minor into your fishing day. Again, the down south lure in both the burner shad and the regular version have been really good. Watermelon red has been another flavor that has been pretty productive, especially in this water up here. The water's looking really good. It's got nice color to it. We've had these calm winds, haven't had a whole lot of high winds other than when the little front passed through on us few days ago. Just make sure that you pay attention to the water clarity, because that becomes a key factor in catching your fish as well. Continue to work up into these back lakes. If you want to walk across the shoreline, get back in here, get your top water and tie it on, and start working all those back lakes back in there. There's been some nice redfish that have been caught back there. A few black drum, not a lot, but again, you can catch the black drum on the Little Johns. You just have to get fortunate enough to get one in front of it, but they will eat it. And watermelon red in the Little John and your clearer baits in your Little Johns have been really good up in this area. Swan Lake area down here in Copano, outer shoreline. Again, we've had really good conditions for all this area here to come in play. Up and down this shoreline here, fish these guts, get in behind these islands. You got some super soft mud there. Grass is really tall. There's been some nice bait fish working in here. There has been scattered redfish in here. Your trout have been scattered in here, in and amongst around these little islands. Fish the edges, fish the guts, fish the drops. Locate what your bait is doing and where it's at. Now, the one thing that's been really good in here has been the down south regular version watermelon red and white ice in this area up here. The white ice has been pretty solid as far as productivity of it, just catching fish on it. It's been really good. Another bait that's been good again is the burner shad. Of course, we're fixing to transition into a full moon. We're getting closer to that, so that's one thing that you really want to take in consideration is your bait size. So fish are predominantly night feeders, so when you're wanting to locate fish early in the morning, just understand that bite's going to be there because that moon's starting to set. Those fish have been eating most of the night, so you don't want to try to throw a bigger bait at them first thing in the morning. So downsize your bait to either a regular version or the burner shad. And as you progress through into the morning, that bite will begin to taper. And it'll be things, if you just pay attention to it, you'll know that. And you'll see it happening. If you want to get back on the water later in the afternoon as that moon's rising, then you can throw a little bit bigger bait. Maybe you want to throw your corky there or your soft dine there to try to get that better bite as those fish are getting ready to go into the night hours to their prime feeding time. So that's another one of those things that you just kind of put on your radar there as your a strategy to go about trying to locate and catch your fish. Work these edges with the soft dine. Those fish are hanging off here just a little bit. There's some nice grass. Again, when you can locate that bait fish, you got that grass that's in there, target those areas. If you can see those little bitty grass beds that are in there, those fish are hanging in and around that, because that's what you got, little bitty crab in there. You got some shrimp that are still hanging around in here and a little bitty perch. And those fish are just kind of hanging on the outside of those grass beds like that. So let that be your point of emphasis as you're throwing your baits, either your plastics, your double Ds, throw the soft dines in around there and really work that. Remember, you got to slow everything down a little bit. It's starting to get a little cooler as we begin to move toward our winter months, cooler weather, cooler water. So those fish are going to be just a little bit less active. So you want to slow stuff down. You start using your 16th ounce head jig heads. Let that bait follow a little slower just to help you out and helps you keep that bait in that water column.
Thanks for watching. I'm Captain Larry Bell.